Today I'm going to talk to you about solving quadratic equations by graphing. Now I want to make sure that you have any paper to take notes on, and I also want you to have some sort of graphing calculator, whether it be an actual graphing calculator or maybe you have a phone or an iPad or you've done a split screen with an online graphing calculator. The one I highly recommend is desmos.com, DESMOS.com. All right, let's get started. Solving quadratic equations by graphing is pretty simple. It's just 3 steps. Number 1, write the equation in standard form, which is just y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where y is going to be 0. 2, you're going to graph the equation. And 3, you're going to find the x-intercepts, if there are any. And as a reminder, a solution to a quadratic equation is what are the x values, what are the x coordinates when y is 0. All right, we're going to start with this one. Solve x squared plus 2x equals 3. Step 1, let's get it into standard form. To do that, I need to get the 3 over to the left-hand side where the other 2 terms are located. I'm going to do that by subtracting 3 from both sides. And I'll get an x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Now when I graph that, I am going to put a y instead of 0, and I'll explain that later on near the end of this video. I have it graphed here, and as you can see, the parabola goes through the -3 and the 1 on the x-axis. And so your solution is x equals -3 and x equals 1. Pretty simple, right? Well, especially if you have a graphing calculator. If you had to graph this by hand, it might be a little bit harder. Here's the next equation. X squared minus 8x equals -16. And again, I want to get that -16 over with the other 2 terms. What's the opposite of -16? Positive 16. So I'm going to add 16 to both sides. And I'll get x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 0. Once again, when I put it in there, I'm not going to put the equals 0. Here you go. And if I'm going too fast and you want to be able to type it in before I show it on the screen, just pause the video here and there for that. As you see, it only hits the x-axis right here at the x equals 4. So this only has one solution, and the solution is x equals 4. All right, let's take a look at that situation where there are no real solutions. Here's this equation. Solve negative x squared equals 2x plus 4. In this case, I'm going to move the x squared over to the other side. And as I do that, I want to say that there's really not a way that you can look at this equation and say, hey, I know this has no real solutions. We're going to go ahead and graph it. So 0 equals x squared plus 2x plus 4. All right, go ahead and put that in your graphing calculator while I put it in mine. All right, there you have it. And as you can see, it is definitely above the x-axis, does not go through the x-axis. No matter how long it keeps going upward, it's never going to go through the x-axis. In fact, it looks like the range is y is greater than or equal to 3. So in this case, because it does not go through the x-axis, its solution is no real solution. That would be the answer. Okay, now it's time for me to show you what happens if in the graphing calculator, at least the online one that I'm using, if instead of putting y equals, you put 0 equals. What do I get? So when you put in 0 equals x squared plus 2x plus 4, this is what you get. Do you see the big vertical line there? That's not helpful at all. But there is one option you can do. Instead of putting y equals or 0 equals, which doesn't help you at all, you can just put in the expression x squared plus 2x plus 4. Here's what that looks like. It should basically look just like the graph when we had the y equals. Now I've got a task for you. I want you to come up with an equation. You can use your graphing calculator to try various variations. I want you to come up with an equation that has no real solutions but is concave downward. Go ahead and pause this video, try it out, share it with a friend and neighbor if you're sitting in your group, and then restart the video. Here's what I got. Negative x squared minus 2x minus 5, and it is below the x-axis. It took me a couple tries before I got it right, but I knew that my a value had to be negative, so it went downward. How did you do? Well, in summary, a quadratic equation has two real solutions when its graph has two x-intercepts, has one real solution when its graph has one x-intercept, and has no real solutions when its graph has no x-intercepts. All right, it's that easy. Go out there and have some fun.